I didn't notice him at first. I wish I could say I had some instinct, that my skin prickled or my heart skipped or whatever people say when they just know. But I didn't. I was tired. I was scrolling my phone, and the world around me was just background noise. The first time I remember seeing him was on the train. It was a Tuesday. I know that because Tuesdays were always the worst. Too far from the weekend behind. Too far from the weekend ahead. I was sitting in the same seat I always took. Second car from the front, left side, halfway down. Back against the window, bag on my lap, earphones in with nothing actually playing. Just blocking people out. He was standing by the door, hanging onto the overhead bar with one hand, the other hand in his jacket pocket. Dark jacket, jeans, beard that hadn't been shaved in a few days. Nothing about him stood out. He was the kind of person your eyes slide past. I only remember him because we made brief eye contact when the train jerked and someone bumped into me. He looked at me for a second, expression flat, then looked away. It was nothing, just a stranger. You see people on the train. That's how it works. 2 days later, he was there again. Same car, same side, standing a little closer this time. I noticed him because his shoes were the same. Plain black sneakers with a white stripe and a scuffed toe on the right one. I remember thinking, weird, same guy again. Then I shrugged it off. It's a city. People take the same trains. It's not special. The third time, he was sitting behind me. I saw him in the reflection on the darkened window when the train went underground. He was angled just enough that I couldn't see his face clearly, only the top of his head, the curve of his shoulders. But I recognized the jacket and those shoes. I turned my head slightly, just enough to glance over my shoulder. He was staring down at his phone, earphones in. He didn't look up. Maybe this is where I should say I felt something then. A small cold knot of worry, a little alarm bell. But I didn't. I just thought, okay, this is awkward. I keep seeing the same guy, whatever. I put in actual music this time, turned the volume up, and tried to stop caring. It took a while before I understood. It took too long. The first real sign was my door. I live alone in a small one-bedroom on the 4th floor of a building that always smells faintly like someone's cooking onions. Not in a cozy way. In a stale, heavy way that sticks to your clothes. My door has one of those cheap, scratched peepholes with a warped view. The paint around it is chipped from some previous tenant's attempt at DIY. My lock sticks in winter. It's not the kind of place that makes you feel safe or unsafe. It just is. That night, I got home around 7, juggling my bag, my keys, and a bag of groceries that was starting to rip near the bottom. My phone was buzzing with some group chat crap, and I was thinking about whether I had clean dishes, or if I'd have to wash something by hand. I pushed the key in, turned, and something felt off. The door opened too easily. It took my brain a second to catch up. The deadbolt was horizontal, not vertical. Unlocked. I always lock my door. Always. It's one of those habits you pick up living alone. Phone, keys, wallet, lock. I froze there in the doorway with the stupid half-torn grocery bag still on my arm. The hallway light flickered behind me. The apartment was quiet and dark. I told myself I could have forgotten. I'd been tired that morning. Maybe I was running late. Maybe I'd grabbed my coffee and rushed out. It happens. I could imagine that version of myself. But the air inside felt wrong. It wasn't colder or warmer. Nothing obvious. Just a slight shift, like walking into a room where someone else has been arguing. The traces of it hang there in the silence. "Hello?" I said quietly. I don't even know why I said it. I felt stupid as soon as the word left my mouth. No answer. I nudged the door fully open with my foot and reached inside for the light switch. The lights came on. The living room was exactly as I'd left it. Blanket half off the couch, mug on the coffee table, TV remote in the same awkward position as always. I put the groceries down and did a quick sweep, heart beating a little faster but not racing. Bedroom, empty. Bathroom, empty. Closet, empty. I even checked under the bed and in the shower, because apparently I was in a low-budget thriller. Nothing. It was probably me. It had to be me. I locked the door, twice, checked it again before bed, did the dumb handle jiggle test. Everything was fine. The next morning, the deadbolt was vertical, unlocked. This time I didn't walk straight in. I stood in the hall and stared at the lock, my heart suddenly pounding harder than felt normal. My keys were in my hand. The cardboard sleeve of my coffee cup was damp from my grip. I had locked the door. I remembered it clearly. I remembered the click, the turn, the double check. I hadn't been drunk or exhausted or distracted. I had locked it. My mind went to the obvious places. Maybe the lock was broken. Maybe the building superintendent had come in for some reason and forgotten to relock it. Maybe someone had the wrong apartment. Maybe. I stepped back, put my cup down on the floor, and pulled my phone out. My fingers shook a little as I dialed the building manager. He answered on the third ring, voice rough. "Yeah?" "Hi, it's Mia, in 4B. My voice sounded too bright, too fake. "Did someone come into my apartment yesterday? Maintenance or something?" "Not that I know of," he said. "You put in a ticket?" "No, it's just... My door was unlocked when I got home. I was sure I'd locked it, and now it's unlocked again." He was quiet for a moment. "Locks get old," he said. "They slip. I can have someone look at it this week." "Can someone come today?" Another pause. I imagined him rolling his eyes. "I'll see what I can do." "Okay, thanks." I picked up my coffee, took a breath, and went inside. I checked the apartment again, every corner, every possible hiding place, until I felt stupid and paranoid. Nothing was missing. Nothing was moved. No drawers open, no clothes, no papers, nothing. There was only one thing that stood out. On the kitchen counter, next to the sink, lay my spare house key. I keep my spare key in a small ceramic dish on my bedroom dresser. I know exactly where it lives. I saw it there 2 nights ago when I tossed my earrings in the same dish. Now it was on the kitchen counter. At first I thought I had brought it out myself. Maybe I'd been looking at it for some reason. Maybe I'd moved it and forgotten. Humans forget things all the time. Our brains are not perfect. But my memory of that dish on the dresser was clear, and I had no reason to carry the spare key around my own apartment. A cold, tight feeling settled in my chest. I picked up the key and stared at it. It looked exactly the same. Same little scratch near the top. Same slight bend. It was mine, not some copy, not a fake. Someone had gone into my bedroom, taken my spare key, used it on my door, and then placed it on the kitchen counter. Nothing else touched. Nothing else missing. Just a message. I can come and go when I want. I called the police. I felt ridiculous doing it. The whole time I was on hold, I kept thinking, they're going to laugh at you. But when the operator picked up, I heard my own voice shake, and that was somehow worse. I told them about the lock, the key, the fact that nothing was taken. They sent a patrol car. 2 officers came up, a man in his 50s with gray at his temples, and a younger woman with a tight bun. They walked through the apartment with me. They checked the windows, the door, the fire escape. They took my statement. The older officer, Rodriguez, looked at me as I spoke, his face calm in that professional way that doesn't really tell you anything. Any ex-boyfriends or girlfriends with keys? He asked. No, I changed the locks after my last relationship, and he moved out of state. Any friends who might be playing a joke? I don't have friends who think this is funny. He nodded like he'd heard that one before. The younger officer, Hale, was making notes on a small pad. Any neighbors you don't get along with? She asked. Anyone who's been weird with you? Staring, making comments? I hesitated, then thought about the guy on the train. But he hadn't done anything, just existed. No, I said. Not that I can think of. Rodriguez's gaze flicked around the apartment. Nothing missing? Nothing I've noticed. That's unusual, he said. Usually if someone goes to the trouble, they take something. Jewelry, electronics. Maybe they just wanted to scare you, Hale said. Or maybe they came in by mistake and realized it. Doors get mixed up sometimes. The spare key was moved, I said. Right. She wrote that down. Well, we don't see any obvious signs of forced entry, but we'll file a report. I'd recommend changing your locks again. And if you notice anything else, any notes, calls, anything, let us know. And if there's someone already watching? I asked, before I could stop myself. I mean, is there anything I should do? Rodriguez looked at me for a moment, then said, Trust your instincts. If something feels off, call us. Don't brush it off. They left. The door closed. The apartment felt even quieter than before. Trust your instincts. My instincts were a mess. Part of me wanted to throw up. Part of me wanted to roll my eyes at myself. I paced the living room for a long time, then finally grabbed my laptop and opened it, meaning to distract myself. My email was already open. At the top of the inbox was a new message, received while the officers were still here. No subject line. From an address I didn't recognize. Watching you now at... And then a domain I didn't know. My hands went cold. I clicked it. There was no text in the body of the email. No words. Just a single image, embedded, not as an attachment. It was a photo of me, taken from outside my apartment window. I recognized the angle right away. The photo was from across the street, probably from someone leaning out of the window of the building opposite mine. It showed me standing in my living room, wearing the same clothes I was wearing now. Black jeans, gray sweater, I was facing away from the window, bent slightly as if I'd just put something on the coffee table. The timestamp on the email was 5 minutes ago. There was no subject line, no message, just that photo. My breathing went shallow. My heart hammered so hard I could feel it in my throat. It felt like the air in the room had been sucked away. I walked slowly to the window and pushed the curtain aside a few centimeters. Across the street, the windows of the other buildings stared back, dark rectangles. A couple of them had lights on, a TV flickering behind one, a plant pressed against another. I couldn't see anyone. I let the curtain fall back into place and stepped away. I called the police again. The second time they came, Rodriguez wasn't with them. A younger pair showed up, both looking like they'd rather be anywhere else. They stood in my living room while I showed them the email. "This came in less than 10 minutes ago," I said. "Look at the clothes. That's what I'm wearing right now." The woman squinted at the screen. "Could be an old photo," she said. "Maybe they just sent it now." "No, I didn't own these jeans last month. I bought them last week. I can show you the receipt." The man sighed. Okay. We believe you. We'll include the email in the report." "You said someone might be trying to scare me," I said. "Well, I'm scared." "Yeah," he said. "I get that." They asked if I'd noticed anyone hanging around outside, anyone suspicious. I thought about the man on the train again. There was no reason to connect him, no hard link. But my brain kept circling back. "There's this guy I see on my morning commute," I said. "Same car, same time. I've seen him like 4 times in the last week." "Okay." The woman took out her pad. "Describe him?" I tried. Average height, dark hair, dark beard, black jacket. I could see him clearly in my mind, but every detail sounded generic when I said it out loud. He was the kind of man you could find on any train, in any city. "We'll note it," she said, and I could tell by her tone that they didn't think it meant much. "Do you want someone to stay here tonight?" the man asked. "Family? Friend?" "I don't really have anyone close," I said, before I could stop myself. It came out more pathetic than I meant. I'll be fine. I'll call a locksmith." The female officer looked at me for a second with something that might have been pity. "Get new locks," she said, "and keep your curtains closed at night." Like that would fix it. I called in sick to work the next day. I told my boss I had food poisoning. It wasn't far off. I'd spent most of the night in the bathroom, but it wasn't my stomach. It was my nerves. Sleep didn't really happen. Every time I started to drift, I'd jerk awake at some small sound. A pipe knocking, a car door slamming outside, someone walking past in the hall. I kept imagining footsteps by my door, right outside, just standing there. At around 8 in the morning, I gave up on sleep and called a locksmith. They came at 10, swapped the whole thing out. New deadbolt, new handle, new keys. I watched every step, hovering like a paranoid idiot. "You have anyone else with a copy of your key?" the locksmith asked. "No," I said. "Just me." "Good. Don't leave one under the mat or on top of the door frame or any of that crap, okay? People check there first." "I won't," I said. I didn't mention the spare key in the dish. I didn't know what to do about that. I took it, put it in my pocket, and later threw it into the trash chute in the hallway. The sound of it hitting the metal below made me flinch. For a few hours I felt better. The rational part of my brain took the wheel. New lock, police report, curtains drawn. Maybe this was some freak incident. Maybe it would fade away. Around 3 in the afternoon, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. No caller ID. Just unknown. I stared at the screen. My finger hovered over the red button, but something stopped me. I swiped to accept and lifted the phone to my ear. Hello? For a moment, there was only silence. Then I heard breathing. Slow, steady, not close to the microphone, but audible. Who is this? I asked. More breathing. I swallowed. If you don't speak, I'm hanging up. A man's voice said, quiet and calm. I like the new lock. The bottom dropped out of my stomach. I didn't say anything. I couldn't. My tongue felt thick and useless. It looks good, he went on. He sounded youngish. 30s maybe. No strong accent. Shiny. Strong. Better than the last one. I walked slowly toward the window, phone pressed to my ear. My legs felt weak. Where are you? I asked, and my voice didn't sound like mine. A soft laugh. I'm not far. I pushed the curtain aside a fraction of an inch and peered out. Cars lined up on the street. A couple walking a dog. Someone unlocking a bike. No one looking up at my window. How did you get my number? I asked. You left it on the kitchen counter. My heart lurched. I pictured my phone next to my coffee mug, charger cable coiled beside it. I always left it there at night, on the counter. I pictured his hand reaching into the frame I could see in my mind, picking up my phone, flicking the screen, scrolling through my settings without me there to stop him. You were sleeping so deeply, he said quietly. I watched you for a long time. I could have done anything. I thought I might throw up. I put my free hand against the wall to steady myself. I've called the police, I lied. They're coming right now. They're tracing this call. He chuckled again, low. No, they're not. They didn't care enough the first time. They won't care this time. What do you want? I whispered. I just wanted to hear your voice. His tone wasn't mocking. It was almost fond. You sound scared. I don't like that. I don't want you to be scared of me. Then leave me alone, I said, the words bursting out of me. Stop watching me. Stop breaking into my home. Stop taking pictures of me. Just stop. He was quiet for a long moment. I've watched you for months, he said at last. You don't know that, but I have. I know you think nobody really sees you. I see you, Mia. My mouth went dry. How do you know my name? I know a lot of things. A pause. Don't call the police again. They'll just make things worse. He ended the call. I stared at my phone screen, at the call-ended text until it faded. My reflection looked back at me, pale and wild-eyed. I called the police again. They came again, slower this time. No sirens, no urgency. Rodriguez was back with Hale. They sat with me at the small dining table while I told them about the call. "Unknown number, right?" Rodriguez asked. "No caller ID." "Yes." "Could be spoofed. Could be a burner phone. Hard to trace. Did you record it?" "No." Shame burned in my chest. I didn't think of that. "It's okay," he said. "Most people don't." Hale tapped her pen on the table. "You said he mentioned the new lock," she said, "and your phone on the counter. So he's been inside since the locksmith left?" "I guess," I said, and the thought made my skin crawl. I was here all day. I didn't hear the door. "Any chance you could have fallen asleep?" Rodriguez asked. "Maybe for a few minutes. I don't know. I was lying down for a while." "Okay." He exhaled slowly. "We're going to escalate this. We'll mark your address as high risk. That means if you call, we prioritize. We'll also put in a request for extra patrols on this block." "It won't matter," I said. "He said they won't care, that you won't care." "Well, he's wrong about that," Hale said sharply. I wanted to believe her. I really did. "Can you stay with someone?" Rodriguez asked. "Family friend, just until we get a better handle on this." "My parents are 3 hours away," I said. "We're not exactly close, and I don't really have anyone else." "What about work?" Hale asked. "You have coworkers you're friendly with?" "Friendly with, sure. But the thought of calling one of them and saying, 'Hey, I think someone is watching me and breaking into my home. Can I sleep on your couch?' made my stomach twist. That kind of thing changes how people see you." "I'll be okay," I lied again. Rodriguez slid a card across the table. "This is my direct line," he said. "If anything else happens, call me, okay? Day or night." "Okay," I said. After they left, I sat in silence for a long time, holding the card. His name was printed in neat black letters. Detectives and cops always look so solid in movies. In real life, they just look tired. My phone buzzed. New email. Same address as before. The subject line this time said, "Why would you call them?" My vision blurred for a second. I opened the email. There was one sentence in the body. "You're making this harder than it has to be." Underneath, another photo. This one was snapped through my peephole. It was slightly warped, ringed by the edges of the fisheye lens. It showed the backs of Rodriguez and Hale as they walked away down the hallway. The timestamp was from 2 minutes ago. He was here. He was in the building. While they were here, he'd been close enough to my door to take that picture. I stood up so fast my chair fell backward with a crash. My hand shook as I grabbed my phone. I dialed Rodriguez's number from the card. He picked up on the second ring. "Rodriguez." "He's here," I said. "He just sent me a photo of you from my door, from the peephole. It's from 2 minutes ago." "Stay inside," he said. "Do not open your door. Do you understand me? I'm coming back upstairs." I locked the door. I slid the chain across, even though I knew it wouldn't do much. I backed away, my eyes fixed on the wood, as if I could see through it. For a few seconds, nothing happened. Then I heard footsteps in the hall. One set. Slow. Deliberate. They stopped right on the other side of my door. The peephole went dark. He was covering it. The silence pressed in. I thought of him, inches away from me, separated only by that slab of wood and metal. If he wanted to, he could knock. He could speak. He could scratch his nails down the surface just to let me know he was real. Nothing. I stood there, frozen, for what felt like an hour, and was probably less than a minute. My pulse thudded in my ears. Then, muffled through the door, two voices. Rodriguez and someone else. Footsteps quick. Keys rattling. A sharp knock. Police. I exhaled a breath I didn't know I'd been holding. When they came in, the hall was empty. No one had seen anyone suspicious. No one had heard anything. No cameras in the hallway, of course. The building was old and cheap. "He's playing games," Rodriguez said, anger tight in his voice. "He's watching every move we make." "He's enjoying this," Hale said. "He wants you scared." "Mission accomplished," I said. For the next week, nothing happened. Nothing obvious anyway. I still saw him on the train. I'm sure it was him. I don't know when I realized it, when my brain finally linked the man on the train with the voice on the phone, the person behind the emails. Maybe it was how he stood. Maybe it was the way his head turned just enough, like he was looking through people instead of at them. The morning after the call, I almost didn't go to work. Every instinct screamed at me to stay home, but I didn't know which place was worse. My apartment, where I knew he could get in, or the outside world, where I didn't know what he looked like when he wasn't just a stranger on a train. In the end, routine won. I needed money. I needed something normal. When I stepped onto the platform, my chest clenched. I scanned the crowd, trying to spot him, but everyone blurred together. Men in jackets, women in coats, students with headphones, parents dragging kids. I got onto the train, took my usual seat, and then I saw him. He was farther down the car this time, standing by the opposite doors. Same jacket, same hair, same shoes. He was looking at the ad above my head, one hand wrapped around the rail, the other in his pocket. My stomach turned to ice. He didn't look at me. Not once. Not when the train lurched. Not when someone squeezed past him. Not when I got up early and switched cars at the next stop. He didn't need to look. He knew exactly where I was. Later in the office, my coworker Emma poked her head over the cubicle wall. "You look like crap," she said, not unkindly. "You okay?" "Didn't sleep well," I said. "Just stuff." "You working on the Jackson account still?" "Yeah." "That would keep me up too," she said, rolling her eyes. "You coming to drinks on Friday? The team's going to Murphy's." I started to say no, but the thought of sitting alone in my apartment, waiting for shadows to move, made my skin crawl. "Yeah," I said. "Sure. I'll come." "Cool." She smiled. "Maybe we can get you to actually have fun for once." I smiled back. It felt brittle. The rest of the week was a blur of sharp, small fears. I double-checked my lock every time I left. I checked behind the shower curtain before peeing. I kept my curtains closed and the TV on at a low volume so the silence wouldn't swallow me whole. Every creak was him. Every shift in light. Every reflection in glass. But he didn't call again. No more emails came. Sometimes I doubted myself. Maybe he'd moved on. Maybe the call in the photo had been his big finale. Maybe he was bored now. On to the next lonely woman, the next easy target. Maybe I was the only one still stuck in this loop. On Friday, I went to Murphy's with the others. Murphy's is a cramped, noisy bar where the floor is always sticky and the music is always slightly too loud to talk comfortably. The kind of place that smells like spilled beer and fryer grease and perfume all mashed together. I sat at a high table with Emma and 3 other coworkers, nursing a vodka soda I could barely taste. They were laughing about something that had happened in the office. A printer meltdown, an email thread gone wrong. I tried to laugh along, but my eyes kept drifting toward the door. Every time it opened, I tensed. Seriously, are you okay? Emma asked at one point, leaning closer. You're jumpy as hell. I'm fine, I said. I just think someone's been messing with my apartment. Her expression changed. She set her drink down. What do you mean? I hadn't planned to tell anyone. Saying it out loud made it more real. But the words spilled out of me before I could stop them. I told her about the lock, the key, the photo from outside my window, the phone call. Jesus, she said. Have you told the police? Yeah. They've come by a couple times. They're doing what they can. She scoffed. Which is nothing, I bet. They're trying, I said, though I wasn't sure I believed it. They've upped patrols around my building. I have a detective's direct number. Do you know who it is? She asked. Like, does anyone have it out for you? An ex or something? I don't think so. I hesitated. There's this guy on my train, but that's probably just me being paranoid. Why him? I keep seeing him, I said. Same car, same time. And lately I just feel like it's him. I know that sounds stupid. It doesn't, she said. If I were you, I'd trust that feeling. Can you change trains? Take a different route? Not really. That route is the only one that makes sense for work. She bit her lip. You should stay with someone, she said, until this gets sorted. You can crash with me for a bit if you want. The offer surprised me. We were friendly, but not that close. I don't want to be a burden, I said automatically. You wouldn't be, she said. Seriously, I'd rather have you on my couch than sitting alone in your apartment freaking out. Plus, my cat would love you. I smiled, a little more genuinely this time. I'll think about it, I said. Think fast, she said. But she let it go. We ended up staying at Murphy's longer than I meant to. Drinks refilled, stories got louder. Someone started a round of shots. I tried to keep my intake low. I didn't want to dull my edge, but the alcohol softened some of the sharp edges in my brain. By the time I stepped outside, the air felt cold and unusually clear. My head buzzed, but not unpleasantly. I'm grabbing a rideshare, Emma said. You want to share one part way? I know it's out of your way, but... It's okay, I said. The train is faster for me, and cheaper. You sure? She asked. Yeah. I'll text you when I get home. She hugged me, quick and hard. Do that, she said. I walked to the station, hands in my pockets, shoulders up against the wind. The streets were less crowded now, but not empty. A few groups laughing too loudly, a couple arguing quietly, a guy smoking alone in a doorway. Inside the station, the fluorescent lights made everything look washed out and a little unreal. I went through the turnstile, walked down to the platform, and stood near a column, away from the few other people waiting. I checked the time on the screen. 6 minutes until the next train. I leaned against the column and took out my phone. There was a new message from an unknown number. I stared at it for a long second before opening it. It was a photo. This one was of me, sitting at the high table in Murphy's, talking to Emma. Taken from a few tables away, blurry around the edges but clear enough to see my face, my expression. The caption, in small gray text under the photo, said, "You look better when you smile." My heart rate spiked. My hands went slick. I looked around the station, scanning every face, every shape. A man in a baseball cap, a woman with a stroller, a teenage boy with headphones, an older woman clutching her purse. Nobody obvious, nobody staring. I swallowed and typed out a reply with stiff fingers. "Who are you?" The message sent. The typing bubble appeared almost at once. "I'm the only one who really sees you." My breath came shallow. I started to type something else, then stopped. Talking to him gave him what he wanted. I knew that, but not talking didn't seem to help either. The roar of the incoming train filled the station. I slid my phone into my pocket and stepped closer to the edge. When the train doors opened, I hesitated just a fraction of a second before stepping on. Part of me wanted to run back up the stairs, out into the open air, away from the enclosed space, the strangers, away from him. I got on anyway. The car was half full. I grabbed a pole near the door and let my eyes flick over the faces. He was there. Middle of the car, one hand on the rail above his head, the other resting at his side. Same jacket, same hair, same beard. His eyes were on the advertisement across from him. But I knew. He didn't look at me. I couldn't stop looking at him. My phone buzzed in my pocket. I didn't want to check it, but I did. "Do you like her?" the message said. "Your friend. She's funny. She thinks she knows you, but she doesn't. Not like I do." The blood drained from my face. I typed, "Stay away from her." Another buzz. "I would never hurt you." He didn't mention Emma. I wanted to move to another car, but shifting around would have felt too obvious, like running. And if he followed me, if I saw him get up and follow, I thought I might lose it right there. The train pulled into my stop. I got off without looking in his direction. I could feel him behind me, or imagined it. My skin crawled. On the walk back to my building, I kept glancing over my shoulder. Every pair of footsteps behind me made my heart stutter. Every parked car felt like a hiding place. I unlocked the building door, went up the stairs, unlocked my apartment, and practically slammed the door behind me. I locked it. Deadbolt, chain. Then I slid down with my back against it, breathing hard. My phone buzzed one more time. "Home safe," the message said. Good. I barely slept that night. My thoughts looped. The photo in the bar, the messages, his calm posture on the train like he was just another commuter. The idea that he could be so close, so familiar, and still a stranger. Around 2 a.m, my phone buzzed again. I grabbed it, relief and fear hitting at once. Maybe it was Emma. Maybe she was drunk texting me something stupid, something normal. The notification just said unknown. I opened it. This one wasn't a photo. It was a video, 20 seconds long, no description. I pressed play. The video was dark at first, shaky. Then a door appeared in the frame. My door. You could tell by the chipped paint, the crooked number 4B. The camera moved closer, slowly, until the peephole filled the screen. A finger reached up, covered it. There was silence for a moment. Then, soft, from behind the door, my voice. Police. I watched, numb, as the video captured the scene from earlier that week, when Rodriguez had come back upstairs. My own voice, small and strained, muffled by the wood. The distorted outline of 2 figures in the fisheye lens as they approached. The video cut off abruptly right as the door opened. So he'd recorded that. He'd been holding his phone up to my peephole, filming, while I stood on the other side of the door, unaware. The timestamp on the video file matched that day. Under the video, a single line appeared. You looked so scared. It made me sad. My hand shook so hard I almost dropped the phone. I didn't call the police that time. I don't know why. Maybe I was tired of their voices, their questions. Maybe some part of me knew that all they'd do was write it down, shake their heads, and tell me they were doing their best. Instead, I did something else. I called Emma. She answered on the 3rd ring, groggy. Hello? Sorry, I whispered. I know it's late. Mia? What's wrong? He sent me a video, I said, of my door, from the other day. He filmed you guys coming to get me. He was right outside. Silence, then a rustle as she sat up. Jesus, did you call the cops? No, Okay, listen. Her voice was clearer now, firmer. Pack a bag, clothes for a couple days, work stuff, whatever. I'm coming to get you. You don't have to. I'm coming, she repeated. You are not staying there alone. Text me your address again just in case, okay? I'll be there in 20 minutes. The rational part of me knew it would take longer than that at this hour, but I didn't say anything. My chest loosened a little. Someone was coming. Someone was going to stand in the same space as me and make it less haunted. Okay, I said. After we hung up, I stood in the middle of my living room, unsure what to do first. My suitcase lay in the closet. I dragged it out and threw in clothes without thinking too hard about outfits. T-shirts, jeans, underwear, socks. My toothbrush. A hairbrush. My phone buzzed again. My first thought was, it's him. My second was, what if it's Emma? It was him. Leaving already? The message said. My fingers tightened on the phone. I swallowed hard and typed back before I could overthink it. Yes. A moment's pause. Are you going to her place? My heart pounded. How much did he know? How much had he seen? None of your business, I typed, then erased it. Instead, I wrote, leave her out of this. I'm not interested in her, he replied. I told you that. I only care about you. But I don't like it when you run from me. I stared at the words until they blurred. "You don't own me," I wrote. Another buzzing pause. "I'm trying very hard to be patient," came the answer. "Don't make me do something I don't want to do." A cold dread crawled up my spine. My first impulse was to write back, to ask what that meant, to argue. Instead, I put the phone face down on the coffee table and stepped away. I checked the door again. Locked. Chain slid across. I checked the windows. Locked. Latched. I knew it didn't matter. If he could get in before, he could get in again. 15 minutes passed, then 20. I texted Emma. "You close?" "Almost there," she replied. "Stupid traffic. Be down in 5. Don't open the door for anyone but me." Somehow that made me smile. Even now she was bossy. I put my coat on, slung the bag over my shoulder, and stood by the door, waiting. Every sound in the hallway made me jump. Footsteps, a door closing somewhere, the faint laugh of someone on their phone. My phone buzzed again. I told myself not to look. I looked. "You shouldn't leave yet," the message said. My hands went cold. I typed back, "I'm not staying." "If you walk out that door," he wrote, "I can't promise everyone will be okay." My fingers hovered over the keyboard. Then I wrote, "You hurt anyone and I swear to God." Another buzz. "You swear what?" "You'll call the police again? They won't get there in time." I gritted my teeth. "You're bluffing." No reply. Seconds dragged. My phone buzzed again. This time it was a call. Unknown. I almost let it go to voicemail. Almost. Then I swiped to answer. "What do you want?" I snapped, anger finally pushing past fear. "No," he said quietly. "The real question is, what do you want?" His voice was different this time, an edge of frustration under the smoothness. "I want you to leave me alone," I said. "I want you to stop watching me, to stop following me, to stop pretending this is anything but sick." "You say that," he said, "but you didn't move out. You didn't really leave. You keep living your life like I'm not here." "Because I'm trying to pretend you're not," I said. "Because if I think about you every second, I'll lose my mind." "That hurts," he said, and the way he said it made bile rise in my throat. "After everything I've done for you." "You haven't done anything for me," I said. "You've terrorized me. You've broken into my home. You've made me afraid to sleep." "I make sure you get home safe," he said. "I walk behind you to scare off anyone else who might hurt you. I watch your door so nobody breaks in except me. I could hurt you any time, but I don't. Doesn't that mean something?" "No," I said. "It means you're insane." Silence. Then, "Don't go with her." My heart stuttered. "With who?" "Your friend, Emma." He said her name slowly, like he was tasting it. "She doesn't understand you like I do." "Stay away from her," I said. "If you touch her, I swear." "You keep swearing things," he said, annoyed now. "But you never follow through." "I'll tell her everything," I said. "I've already told her. She knows. She's not going to help you. She's going to help me get away from you." "You can't get away from me," he said. You think distance matters? You think a different couch, a different lock, a different train will change what we are? We are nothing, I said. Another pause. You're making this very hard, he said. I tried to do this without hurting anyone. Footsteps in the hall. Heavy ones. Coming closer. I have to go, he said abruptly. She's here. The line went dead. Someone knocked on my door. I froze. My hand tightened around the phone. My heart hammered so loud I thought whoever was outside could hear it. Another knock. Lighter this time. Then Emma's voice, muffled through the door. Mia, it's me. I almost didn't open it. That's the worst part. For a second, weird panic logic took over. What if it wasn't her? What if he was mimicking her voice? What if he'd somehow tricked me? Mia? She called again. You gonna let me in, or am I sleeping in the hall? It was her. It had to be. I forced myself to undo the chain, turn the deadbolt, and open the door. Emma stood there in her jeans and oversized hoodie, hair pulled into a messy bun, face free of makeup. She smiled, then frowned when she saw my expression. Whoa, she said. You look worse than you sounded. Thanks, I said weakly. I glanced past her, down the hallway. Empty. He'd said, she's here, like he was watching her arrive. You ready? She asked, lifting her overnight bag. Cabs waiting outside. Drivers nice enough, didn't complain about short notice. Yeah, I said. Yeah, I'm ready. I grabbed my own bag and stepped out, locking the door behind me. The act of turning the key felt strangely pointless, like locking a screen door in a hurricane. As we walked down the hallway, I kept expecting a door to open, a hand to reach out, a shadow to move just wrong. Nothing did. Did he message you again? Emma asked quietly as we walked down the stairs. Yeah, I said. He knows I'm leaving. She swore under her breath. Creep. He said. If I left, he couldn't promise everyone would be okay. She stopped for a second on the landing and looked at me. Okay. No. Not acceptable. Tomorrow we go back to the police, and if they don't listen, we make them listen. We go to the press or something. I don't know. But we're not just sitting on this. I nodded, though my stomach twisted at the idea of everyone knowing, everyone looking at me with that mix of pity and morbid curiosity. Outside, the air felt colder than before. A rideshare car idled at the curb, headlights cutting through the dim streetlights. As we walked toward it, I scanned the windows of the building across the street, looking for a silhouette, a face, a glint of glass. Nothing. We got into the car, Emma in the back seat, me beside her. The driver, a guy in his 40s with tired eyes, glanced at us in the rearview mirror. Emma? He asked. Yeah, she said. That's us. Thanks for waiting. No problem. He put the car in gear and pulled away from the curb. I watched the buildings slide past. My apartment window disappeared behind us, swallowed by the city. My phone buzzed again. I didn't want to look. I did anyway. This one was an email. Subject line, disappointed. I opened it. The body of the email contained one sentence: "You forced my hand." Underneath was another attached image. I hesitated. Emma noticed. "Is it him?" she asked. "Yeah," I said. "Show me." I touched the thumbnail. The photo filled the screen. For a second, my mind couldn't make sense of it. It was too much at once. The hallway, the peeling paint, the door to my apartment, slightly open, and in front of it, slumped against the wall, was Mr. Farley, the old man from 4D, who always smelled like cigarette smoke and cats. His head was bowed to one side. His hands lay limp in his lap. There was a dark stain spreading across his shirt. I clapped my hand over my mouth. "What?" Emma asked, alarmed. "What is it?" I couldn't speak. I just tilted the phone so she could see. She swore, loudly enough that the driver glanced back in alarm. "Is that—" she started. "Farley," I managed, "from down the hall." "It could be fake," she said quickly. "Photoshop or—" The photo was too crisp, too real. The angle was from somewhere low in the hallway, maybe from near the stairs. You could see the details, the frayed hem of his pants, the scuffed toes of his slippers. He had been alive that afternoon. I'd heard him coughing through the wall, the way I always did. I'd seen him take out his trash that morning. I forced myself to look closer, even though every part of me wanted to throw the phone out the window. The email had a timestamp. It was sent 5 minutes ago. "Call 911, Emma said sharply. "Right now. Tell them exactly what you saw." My hand shook as I dialed. The driver turned down the radio, listening to us in the mirror, his brow furrowed. I told the dispatcher my name, my address. I said that I'd received a photo of my neighbor in the hallway, possibly injured, possibly dead. I used the word stalker for the first time in that call. They told me they were sending units. "We have to go back," I said after I hung up. Emma stared at me. "What?" "We have to go back," I repeated. "If he's hurt." "If he's hurt, the police and the paramedics will handle it," she said. "You are not going back to walk into whatever this psycho wants you to walk into." "He killed him," I said. Saying it out loud made my voice wobble. "He killed him because I was leaving." "You don't know that," she said, but her eyes told me she believed it. "He's manipulating you. He wants you to feel guilty. He wants you to feel responsible." "I am," I said. "If I hadn't—" "No." Her voice was firm. "You did nothing wrong. He did. This is on him, not you." The driver cleared his throat. "Do you want me to turn around?" he asked. "We're like 3 blocks away." "No," Emma said at once. "Yes," I said at the same time. We looked at each other. "If you go back," she said quietly, "you're doing exactly what he wants. He wants you there. He wants a reaction. He wants to see your face when you see." She gestured vaguely, unwilling to say the rest. "I can't just run away," I said. "You're not running away. You're staying alive." The word alive landed with a weight I didn't like. I closed my eyes. Mr. Farley's face flashed behind my lids, slack and tilted. He had always been kind to me, held the door, asked about my day. Once, when I'd been carrying too many groceries, he'd taken a bag from me without asking and walked me to my door. He didn't deserve that, I whispered. I know, Emma said, but you going back won't fix it. It'll just put you at risk too. The driver said nothing. His hands were tight on the wheel. Take us to my address, Emma said to him. Please. He nodded. I sat there shaking while the city blurred around us. My phone buzzed again in my hand. I didn't look right away. When I did, my stomach clenched. It was another email. Same sender. Subject: he was no one. I opened it. There was no image this time. Just text. He was going to die soon anyway. Look at him. He could barely walk down the hall. I did him a favor. A clean, quick end. It could be like that for you too if you stopped fighting me. The words swam in my vision. What does it say? Emma asked. I read it out loud. She swore again. Her hands shook. We're going to the police first thing in the morning, she said. No, screw that. We're going tonight. We're telling them everything. If they don't listen, we go above them. Detective, captain, someone. This isn't just harassment anymore. This is murder. The word hung between us. Murder. It didn't feel real. It felt like something from a TV show. But the weight of it sat heavy in my chest. I typed back, fingers tight. You're sick. For a moment, no response came. Then another buzz. I'm what you made me, he wrote. Emma's apartment was on the other side of the city, in a building a little nicer than mine, with a clean lobby and a working elevator. As we walked down the hallway toward her door, I kept checking behind us, half expecting him to be there, walking calmly behind us with his hands in his pockets. Her place smelled like vanilla and cat litter. The cat, a fat orange tabby named Milo, stared at me from the arm of the couch with suspicious eyes. Sit, Emma said, tossing her bag down. I'm making tea, or coffee, or something stronger if you want. Tea is fine, I said. My voice sounded far away. I sat on her couch and Milo immediately jumped onto my lap, kneading my thighs with his paws. The warmth and weight of him helped, weirdly. Emma moved around the kitchen, cabinets opening, kettle filling. The normal sounds of another person living their life in the same space as me felt like a shield. My phone was still in my hand. No new messages. No calls. Leave here in the morning? I asked quietly, mostly to myself. Go straight to the station? Yeah, Emma called. I'll come with you. You don't have to. This isn't your... It is now, she said. You dragged me into your drama, remember? Her tone tried to be light. It almost worked. I let my head rest on the back of the couch and closed my eyes. For the first time in days, I felt like I could maybe fall asleep. Just a little. Just enough to not think. The kettle whistled. Emma cursed as she burned her fingers on the handle. Milo purred. My phone buzzed. The sound jolted through me like an electric shock. I looked down. New message. Unknown. With a sinking feeling, I opened it. I changed my mind, the message said. She matters now. I sat up so fast Milo hissed and jumped off my lap. Emma, I called, my voice cracking. What? She asked. coming in with 2 mugs. I held the phone out. She set the mugs down on the coffee table, picked up the phone, and read the message. Her face went pale. "He knows where I live," she said. "How the hell does he know where I live?" "He's been watching me," I said. "Maybe he followed you home from work before. Or maybe he... I don't know. I don't know." "We should have gone to a hotel," she whispered, "or the police station, or anywhere but here." My phone buzzed again. Video. I opened it. The image was shaky, moving through darkness. Then it resolved into something familiar. My building's hallway. The camera approached 4D Mr. Farley's door. It cracked open. Someone reached in. I didn't see a face, just a hand in a dark sleeve. The hand came back out, dragging Mr. Farley by his collar. He was struggling weakly, his legs scraping on the floor. His mouth opened like he was saying something, but there was no sound. The camera backed up as the body was dragged into the middle of the hallway. Then the hand let go. Mr. Farley slumped. The hand disappeared from the frame. The camera stayed on Mr. Farley. For a few seconds, nothing happened. Then the frame jolted as the camera was set down on something low. An object flashed into view at the edge of the screen. Metal. Long. My throat closed. I didn't watch the rest. I dropped the phone onto the couch as if it burned me. Emma picked it up, eyes wide. She watched, jaw clenched. Her knuckles went white. "Is it?" I started. "It's bad," she said. Her voice was flat and small. "You don't need to see it, but it's not. There's no doubt. He killed him." The tea on the table steamed between us. Milo groomed himself on the rug, oblivious. "We have to call the police," Emma said. "Right now. And we are not leaving this apartment until they get here." I nodded. My hands felt numb as I dialed. When the dispatcher picked up, my voice came out in a rush. I told them everything. The earlier call, the photo, the video, the new message about Emma. I could hear the shift in the dispatcher's tone as the word video and murder slipped out. Things got more serious. She asked for Emma's address. I gave it. "We're sending units to both locations," she said. "Stay inside. Don't open your door for anyone but officers. They will identify themselves with their full names and badge numbers. Do you understand?" "Yes," I said. After I hung up, the apartment felt too small. Every window a weak point. Every wall too thin. Emma locked her door, slid the chain, checked it twice. Then she went to the kitchen drawer and pulled out a large knife. "I know this is stupid," she said, gripping it tightly. "But it makes me feel better." "It's not stupid," I said. She handed me another knife, smaller but still solid. I held it awkwardly. I'd never felt the weight of a weapon before. It made my hands feel foreign. We sat on the couch with the knives in our laps, watching the door. Minutes crawled by. "Do you think he'll come here?" Emma asked quietly. "He said." I swallowed. "He said she matters now. You matter." She laughed once, short and humorless. "Great. Finally, some recognition." We both smiled weakly. It didn't last. My phone buzzed again. Unknown. Of course. I didn't want to open it. I did anyway. This one was a photo, not a video. No text. It took my brain a second to process it. It was the outside of Emma's building, the front door, taken from across the street. Under the yellowish streetlight, two dark shapes were visible on the sidewalk. One was a parked car. The other was our rideshare driver, lying on the pavement, his body twisted at an unnatural angle. There was a dark pool beneath his head. I made a strangled sound. Emma grabbed the phone. "Oh my God," she said. She clapped a hand over her mouth. "Is that the driver?" I whispered. "From earlier. How did he?" She stopped. We both knew how. My phone buzzed again. The caption this time said, "You got in his car without a second thought. You'll get in mine too, eventually." The police showed up 12 minutes later. Those 12 minutes felt like 12 years. Emma and I sat on the couch, knives in hand, eyes glued to the door. Every creak in the building made us flinch. Someone upstairs argued loudly about something stupid. At any other time, it would have annoyed me. Now it was a strange comfort. Life going on, unaware. When the knock finally came, I jumped so hard the knife slipped in my sweaty grip. "Police," a voice called. "It's Detective Rodriguez, with Officer Hale. We're outside the door. We're going to slide our badges under the crack, okay?" Emma and I exchanged a look. "Okay," she called. Two small squares slid under the door. We edged forward. Emma kept her knife in hand as she picked them up and studied them, comparing them to the photo of Rodriguez's card on my phone. "It's them," she said. She unlocked the door, leaving the chain on, and opened it a crack. "Hi," Rodriguez said. His face looked more drawn than before. Hale stood slightly behind him, eyes scanning the hallway. Two uniformed officers were farther back, blocking the elevator. "We're not letting anyone else up here," she said. "Building access is locked down." "Can we come in?" Rodriguez asked. Emma undid the chain and opened the door wider. When they stepped inside, the safety bubble expanded again. 4 adults, all in one place, all aware of the threat. It made the invisible enemy seem a little less everywhere. "We've got units at your building," Rodriguez said to me. "We're confirming the situation there, but it doesn't look good." "He killed Mr. Farley," I said. "You saw the video?" He nodded, jaw tight. "We did." "And the driver," Emma said. "From earlier. He sent a photo." "2 dead that we know of," Hale said. "Same suspect. He's escalating fast." "This isn't just harassment anymore," Rodriguez said. "This is a spree." The word spree made my chest tighten. "Do you have any idea who he is?" I asked. "Anything at all?" Rodriguez exchanged a look with Hale. "We're working on it," he said. "What does that mean?" Emma demanded. "You have 2 bodies. You have video. You have emails. You have phone logs. You must have something." "We have an idea," Hale said carefully. "We're just waiting on confirmation." "An idea of who he is?" I asked. "Of where he might have started," Rodriguez said. "We've seen this pattern before. Obsession, surveillance, the stepping over the line from watching to participating." "Before?" I repeated. He's done this to someone else? Rodriguez hesitated, then nodded. We had a case 2 years ago, he said. Similar MO, stalking, photos, break-ins where nothing was taken. The victim reported it, but we couldn't gather enough evidence to make an arrest. Then she disappeared. My mouth went dry. Disappeared. Her apartment showed signs of a struggle, Hale said. There was blood, but no body. The emails stopped. The calls stopped. No activity on her cards, her phone, nothing. We never found her. What makes you think it's the same person? Emma asked. Rodriguez pulled out his phone, opened a file, and turned the screen toward us. It was a photo, grainy, from a security camera. It showed a man in a jacket, head slightly bowed, beard visible. My heart lurched. That's him, I said. That's him. From the train. Rodriguez nodded. We think so too. We never got a clear shot of his face back then. He's careful. He knows where cameras are. What happened to the woman? I asked, though I wasn't sure I wanted the answer. We don't know, Hale said. But we're not going to let that happen to you. You say that, I said, unable to keep the bitterness out of my voice. But he's already killed 2 people. What if I'm next? You're not alone anymore, Rodriguez said. That changes things. He can't control the environment like before. The more people know, the more eyes we have on him. Maybe that's what he wants, Emma said quietly. An audience. We all fell silent at that. What do we do now? I asked. For tonight, Rodriguez said. You stay here. We'll have a car outside the building. Plainclothes officers in the lobby. Nobody in or out without ID. You don't open your door for anyone who doesn't identify themselves with a badge number that matches what we give you. And tomorrow? Emma asked. Tomorrow we bring you in, Hale said. We'll have you go through photos, voice recordings. We'll dig into your history, see if there's any connection we missed. Exes, co-workers, neighbors. You think I know him? I asked. We think he knows you, Rodriguez said. People like this don't pick targets at random. There's usually a seed, a moment, something small that grows in their head until it's this. I tried to think. A rude customer. A guy I'd turned down at a bar. Someone I'd cut off in traffic. A neighbor I'd ignored. A face on the train I'd glanced at and then looked away from. Nothing stood out. That made it worse. You'll be safe tonight, Hale said. We promise. The word promise sat in the air like a fragile thing. They stayed for another 20 minutes, asking more questions, taking note of every detail I could remember from the call. The cadence of his voice, the way he laughed, the words he used. The more I talked, the more I realized he'd used the same phrases over and over. See you? Watching. We. Like we were in on something together. Before they left, Rodriguez handed me another card. This has my cell, he said. Not the office line. You call this if anything happens, even if you think it's small. Okay, I said. After they were gone, the apartment felt both crowded and empty. The impression of their bodies lingered in the room, but the physical barrier they created was gone. Emma and I looked at each other. I hate this, she said. Me too, I said. Sleep in my room, she said. I'll take the couch. I'm not kicking you out of your bed, I said. We can share, she countered. It's big enough, and I'd rather have someone else in the room. More witnesses if a ghost shows up. He's not a ghost, I said. I think I'd be less scared if he were. Fair point, she said. We moved around the small apartment, turning off lights, checking locks, peeking through blinds. Milo followed us, tail flicking. When we finally lay down in her bed, side by side, the room dark except for the sliver of light from the street lamps outside, my body felt like it was thrumming with leftover adrenaline. Do you think he's watching us right now? Emma whispered. I don't know, I whispered back. I don't know where he is when he's not here. Maybe he doesn't sleep, she said. I thought about the video, the photos, the call from outside my door. The idea of him, awake and alert in every space, bending his entire life around mine. I think he sleeps, I said. He's human. He eats. He pisses. He does laundry. He rides trains. That almost makes it worse. Why? Because it means he's not a monster, I said. He's just a man, one of a million. You pass him on the street and you don't notice. You sit next to him on the train and he just looks like anybody else. Emma was quiet for a moment. I'm glad you told me, she said. I'm sorry you went through this alone for so long. Me too, I said. At some point we fell asleep. Not deeply, not peacefully, but enough that my thoughts blurred. I woke up once to a sound outside the window. A car door, a muffled voice, a radio, probably the officers outside. I rolled over and saw Emma's silhouette on the pillow next to me, her breathing slow and even. For the first time in days, I didn't feel completely alone. What woke me the second time wasn't a sound. It was the absence of one. The city is never truly quiet. There's always some hum in the background, distant traffic, a siren in the distance, a train rumbling underground. Even at night, that low murmur is there. But when I opened my eyes, the world felt muted. Emma's bed was empty. For a moment, I was too groggy to process that fully. I reached a hand out toward the space where she'd been. It was still a little warm. Emma, I whispered. No answer. I sat up, heart already picking up speed. The apartment was dark. The door to the bedroom was slightly open, a sliver of dim light from the hallway cutting through. Emma, I said again, louder this time. Nothing. Every horror movie I've ever half-watched in the background of someone else's life flashed through my brain. The person waking up to find the bed empty. The slow walk down the hall. The thing waiting. Emma, if you're trying to freak me out, it's working, I said, forcing a tremor into something like a joke. No response. I swung my legs over the side of the bed. The floorboards were cold under my feet. Milo was nowhere in sight. My phone lay on the nightstand. I grabbed it, thumb hovering over the screen. No new messages, no missed calls. I checked the time. It was late or early. Some number that didn't mean anything except that it was still dark outside. I padded to the bedroom door, pushed it open, and stepped into the hallway. The living room was empty. The kitchen lights were off. The bathroom door stood ajar. Emma, I called again. Silence answered, Something thudded softly against the front door. I froze. It was a small sound, like something light hitting the wood. A soft impact, then nothing. My mouth went dry. I held my phone up like that would help, the screen's dim glow painting my hand blue. Another soft thud. I forced myself to move toward the door, each step feeling like it took an hour. "Emma?" I tried once more. "Is that you?" No answer. I stopped a few feet from the door. My heart was pounding so hard that my hands shook. The knife we'd held last night lay on the coffee table, half under a magazine. I grabbed it with my free hand. "Who's there?" I asked. The peephole was right in front of me. For a second, I couldn't make myself lean in. I thought of the video, the finger covering the peephole, the sense of someone on the other side, inches from my eye. But not knowing felt worse. I swallowed, stepped closer, and pressed my eye to the tiny circle. The hallway swam into view, distorted by the lens. Empty. The door across the hall, closed. The carpet, bare. The overhead light, buzzing faintly. I let out a shaky breath. Then something slid into the bottom edge of the frame. A piece of paper, folded, pushed under the door from the outside. I jerked back. For a moment, I just stared. The paper lay on the floor inside the apartment, halfway under the door, as if the building itself had spit it out. My phone buzzed. I looked down. New message. Unknown. "Open it," the text said. I didn't move. The screen lit my hand in pale light. My other hand clenched around the knife so tightly my knuckles hurt. I thought about calling Rodriguez, about hitting the emergency call button, about screaming. Instead, I took one step forward, then another. I crouched, keeping my back to the wall, and grabbed the corner of the paper. It was heavier than a normal sheet, thicker. My fingertips tingled as I unfolded it. A photo stared up at me from the glossy surface. It took me a second to understand what I was seeing, because my brain didn't want to. It was Emma, lying on the bed we'd just shared. The same bedspread, the same pillows. Her eyes were closed. Her throat. I didn't let myself see more than that. I saw enough. The room spun. My ears rang. I tasted metal. My phone slipped from my hand and hit the floor. I don't remember the moment I screamed, but I must have, because the next thing I knew there were heavy footsteps in the hallway outside. Someone shouting, "Police!" Voices overlapping. The door rattled. The chain held. "Back away from the door!" a voice yelled from outside. "Step back now!" I stumbled back, the photo clutched in my hand, my vision tunneling. The door burst inward as the chain snapped. Rodriguez and another officer flooded in, guns drawn, eyes scanning for threats. Rodriguez's gaze landed on me, then on the photo in my hand. He swore quietly. "Is that—" he started. "Yes," I said, though my voice hardly sounded like a voice at all. He took the photo gently, hands steady. His jaw tightened as he looked at it. "Where's the bedroom?" he asked. I pointed down the hall. He and the other officer moved quickly, guns still in their hands. Their footsteps thudded down the short hallway. The door to the bedroom creaked. I couldn't move. I slid down the wall to the floor, knees giving way. My chest felt like it was caving in. A sound came from the bedroom. Not a scream, not a shout. Just a sharp inhale, then a string of words I couldn't quite catch. Rodriguez came back into the living room a minute later. His face told me everything before he spoke. "She's gone," he said. The words fell like rocks in my stomach. "No," I said, shaking my head. "No, I was just with her. We were just here. You were just here. How?" "He got in through the fire escape," he said. "We can see where the window was forced. The officers outside didn't have eyes on that side. He must have waited until everyone was sleeping." I woke up, I said. The bed was empty. I thought she'd gone to the bathroom. Guilt hit me like a physical blow. I doubled over, hands pressed to my face. This was my fault. If she hadn't offered me her couch, if she hadn't cared, she'd still be alive. He'd followed me into her world and snuffed her out like a candle. Rodriguez crouched in front of me, his eyes serious. "Listen to me," he said. "This is not your fault. He did this. He made these choices. He would have hurt someone one way or another. The only person to blame is him." "That's not true," I said. "He killed her because of me. Because I ran." "He killed her because of him," Rodriguez said, voice firm. "People like this always look for excuses. Any push, any boundary, they'll twist it into justification. Don't help him do that." I shook my head, tears blurring my vision. Milo rubbed against my leg, meowing softly, as if he knew something was wrong. My phone buzzed on the floor. I flinched. Rodriguez picked it up before I could. He glanced at the screen. "Unknown number," he said. "Do you mind if I shook my head. He opened the message, reading it with his eyebrows drawn together. "What does it say?" I asked. He hesitated, then read it out loud. "Now you understand." The days that followed blurred together. The officers didn't let me out of their sight. They took me to the station, put me in a small room with gray walls and a metal table, and asked me everything. They asked about my daily routine, my hobbies, my friends, my past relationships, every neighbor I'd ever spoken to, every bar I'd been to in the last year, every altercation, no matter how small. They pulled my phone apart, not physically, but digitally. They combed through my messages, my call logs, my apps. They looked at every email, every video, every photo he'd sent. They showed me photos. So many photos. Grainy security footage from train platforms, blurry stills from convenience store cameras, clips from traffic cams. In most of them, he was just a shape on the edge of the frame, head down, jacket zipped. In one, his face was turned toward the camera. It was the same face I'd seen on the train. Dark hair, dark eyes, thick eyebrows, a beard that looked like it started as deliberate and became laziness. Early 30s probably, average build, the kind of face you'd forget as soon as you looked away. "Do you recognize him from anywhere else?" Hale asked, sliding the photo toward me. I stared at it. My skin crawled, but not because the face itself was horrifying. It was horrifying because it wasn't. "I've seen him on the train," I said. "Maybe at the corner store near my building. I don't know." He looks like every guy in the city." "He isn't," she said. "Do you know his name?" I asked. Rodriguez, sitting in the corner with his arms crossed, nodded. "We think so," he said. "We're working on confirmation." "What is it?" He exchanged a look with Hale, then said, "Tyler Grant." The name meant nothing to me. It was just a combination of syllables. Tyler Grant. "Have you ever met a Tyler Grant?" Hale asked. "At work, school, anywhere?" "Not that I know of," I said. "We can check my email, my old class lists, but it doesn't ring a bell." "He used to live 10 blocks from your old address," Rodriguez said, "before you moved to your current building." "I lived there 3 years ago," I said, "in the basement apartment." "He worked at a coffee shop near there," Hale said. "According to our records, a shop you paid with your card at 14 times over 8 months. She slid another sheet toward me. A list of transactions, all from the same place. "Do you remember him from there?" I tried to picture the baristas from that time. Faces blurred, smiles, tattoos, beanies, coffee art. I remembered one woman with bright pink hair, a tall guy who always messed up my order. But not this man. Not clearly. "Maybe," I said. "I don't know. I'm sorry." "You don't have to apologize," Rodriguez said. "You're not on trial. He is." "Is he?" I asked. "He's still out there. He's not in here." "I am." "Right now, you're the safest person in this city," Hale said. "You're surrounded by cops who know what he's capable of. He's the one who has to look over his shoulder now." I wanted to believe that, but another image kept flashing in my mind. Emma's face, slack on the pillow. Mr. Farley's body in the hallway. The driver's twisted shape on the street. "He's not going to stop," I said quietly. "No," Rodriguez said. "He isn't." They moved me to a safe location that night, a secure facility. It was basically a small suite in a building owned by the department. The windows were reinforced. The entrance was guarded. There were cameras everywhere. "I feel like I'm the one in prison," I said to Hale as she showed me the room. "It's temporary," she said, "just until we get him." "And if you don't?" "We will," she said. She sounded confident. I couldn't tell if it was real or just for my benefit. The first night there, I lay in the unfamiliar bed and stared at the ceiling. The white paint had a tiny crack running across it, the kind of detail your eyes latch onto when you can't sleep. My phone was on the nightstand. They'd given it back to me, but they'd mirrored it to some internal system. Every message he sent would go to them too. Every call, every photo. "It gives us a direct line," Rodriguez had said. "He's obsessive. He won't be able to stay quiet for long." That night he was. No calls, no texts, no emails. The silence was almost worse. I got maybe 2 hours of sleep, broken into small chunks. Each time I woke, I expected my screen to be lit with new horrors. It stayed dark. The second night, it was the same. By the third day, the media had caught on. I saw it on the TV in the safe house living room. "Stalker killer," the anchor's caption read. "Serial slayings rock downtown." They showed a blurred picture of me walking into the station, flanked by officers. They showed an old photo of Emma taken from her social media, smiling with Milo in her arms. They showed nothing of Mr. Farley or the driver. Old men and rideshare drivers don't make for compelling headlines. They talked about a pattern of negligence in how the earlier missing woman's case had been handled. They talked about online harassment escalated to physical violence. They talked about female safety in urban spaces. None of it felt like my life. It felt like a story happening to someone else. Someone on the other side of the glass. On the fourth day, he broke the silence. I was in the small safe house kitchen, stirring sugar into my coffee, when my phone buzzed. For a second, I thought it might be Hale. She'd been checking in periodically, asking how I was holding up, telling me about leads they were following. Unknown. My stomach clenched. My hands shook as I opened the message. "Do you like your new cage?" it said. I inhaled sharply. "Rodriguez," I called, my voice cracking. He was in the living room, talking to one of the other officers. He came quickly when he heard my tone. "What is it?" he asked. I handed him the phone. His eyes flicked over the message. His jaw tightened. "We've got it on our end too," he said. "He must have tried your old number first and then this one. He's testing the perimeter." Another buzz. "You think they can keep you from me?" he wrote. "They couldn't even keep her safe." My throat constricted. "He means Emma," I said. Rodriguez nodded once, his face grim. I typed back before I could stop myself. "You killed 3 people. You're not some romantic anti-hero. You're a murderer." A pause. 4, he replied. I stared at the word until it blurred. "Who?" I whispered. Another message came in, as if he'd been waiting for that question. "Do you remember the woman from your building? 2A. The one who always smiled at you in the lobby." My mind scrambled. Images of neighbors flickered by. A woman in her 40s with curly hair, always carrying a yoga mat. A young mom with a stroller. A quiet woman with big headphones. My stomach dropped. "She's missing work," Rodriguez said quietly, checking something on his own phone. "Her boss reported it yesterday. We were already looking into it." I felt sick. "He's blaming me," I said. "He's blaming you because you're the focal point of his twisted fantasy," Rodriguez said. "He'd have found a way to justify it no matter what you did." Another message. "I told you," he wrote. "We're in this together." I typed back, fingers stiff. "No, we're not. You're the only one doing this. No one else. Not me. Not them." A reply came almost immediately. "You keep saying that," he wrote. "But they keep dying." Rodriguez put a hand on my shoulder. "Stop engaging," he said softly. "Let us handle him. Every word you send is a hook for him. Don't give him more." I nodded, though my hands still itched to keep typing, to say something that would pierce through whatever armor he'd built around his conscience. Nothing would. That night, I didn't sleep at all. On the 5th day, they found his apartment. It was in a building not far from my old place, in a neighborhood I rarely went to anymore. Run down, but not the worst, with narrow hallways and cheap fixtures. Hale came to the safe house herself to tell me. "We got a hit off one of the emails," she said, sitting opposite me at the small table. He slipped up. opened it from a network we could trace back to a physical address. It might have been deliberate, but either way, we're there. "You're sure it's him?" I asked. Her eyes were tired, but there was a spark in them. "We're sure enough that we're not ignoring it," she said. "SWAT's already on site. We have a warrant. We're going in." My pulse spiked. Relief and terror tangled together in my chest. "What if he's not there?" I asked. "What if it's another game?" "Then we'll search his place," she said. "We'll find proof. We'll know more than we did yesterday." I nodded, gripping the edge of the table. "Do you want to see?" she asked. "See what?" "We'll have live body cams," she said. "We're recording everything anyway. If you want, you can watch." The idea made me sick. It also made me feel like I couldn't not. "Yes," I said. "I want to see." They brought in a laptop, set it on the table, and connected it to a feed. The screen flickered, then stabilized. The view was from the chest of one of the officers. It showed a dim hallway, paint peeling, doors lined up like dull, blank faces. The officer's breathing was audible. A voice crackled in his earpiece, giving directions. Another voice responded. The camera turned toward a door with a number on it. Tyler Grant, according to the file, lived there. They stacked up outside, hands on weapons, movements smooth and practiced. I held my breath. "Police," one of them shouted. "Search warrant." No answer. They waited a beat, then rammed the door. It splintered inward. They surged into the apartment, cameras jerking as they swept each room. "Clear," voices called. "Clear. Clear." My heart sank with each echo. The apartment was empty. Rodriguez, standing behind me, swore softly. They moved through the rooms methodically. The living room was sparse, a couch, a TV, a stack of cardboard boxes. The kitchen was clean to the point of sterility. No dishes in the sink, no magnets on the fridge. Then they got to the bedroom. The camera swung to the walls and my breath left me. Photos. So many photos. Every inch of wall space was covered. Some were printed on glossy paper, some on cheap copier sheets. Some were taped up, some pinned, some stuck in overlapping layers. Most of them were of me, walking down the street, sitting on the train, standing in my window, phone in hand, laughing with Emma at Murphy's, carrying groceries, unlocking my door, time stamped, organized, obsessively curated. In the corner of one frame, I saw Mr. Farley, blurry and small. In another, the back of the driver's head as he sat in his car. There were also photos I didn't recognize. A woman I'd never seen before, smiling shyly at the camera. Same angles, same voyeuristic distance. Probably the missing woman from before, his previous project. My stomach rolled. "There," Rodriguez said, pointing. "Freeze that." The officer stopped in front of a small desk. The camera zoomed in. A notebook lay open on the surface, pages filled with cramped handwriting. He flipped slowly. We couldn't read the words clearly, but we could see my name, written over and over, sometimes circled, sometimes underlined. Sketches of my face, my outline, my building. "He's completely consumed," Hale murmured. "He's not here," I said. "Where is he?" "We're working on it," Rodriguez said. We'll go through everything, every scrap. There'll be something. The officer's camera panned to the bed. Underneath it, in neatly stacked plastic containers, were more photos, more notebooks, a shoebox with what looked like ticket stubs, receipts, small objects, my life reduced to artifacts. "Wait," I said suddenly. "Go back. The desk. The computer." The camera swung back to the desk. A laptop sat there, lid closed. "That laptop," I said. "He's been emailing me from somewhere. Maybe I don't know. Can you see if he left anything open?" "Already on it," Hale said, tapping her own keyboard. "Our tech team's in. They'll image the drive, see what they can pull." I watched, numb, as they cataloged his life. Every object in that room felt like a violation, even though he was the one who'd violated me. "This is good," Rodriguez said quietly. "This is evidence. This is what will put him away when we catch him." "When?" I repeated. It sounded thin. On the laptop screen, the officer's camera paused on a small bulletin board above the desk. There were notes pinned there. Schedules, times, addresses. One note was different. It was a printed photo of my building. Underneath, in messy handwriting, 2 words: "Last chance." My phone buzzed. For a second, I thought it was another department alert. Then I saw the notification. Unknown. My hands shook as I picked it up. The message was short. "You should have stayed home." I stared at it. Then, with my heart pounding, I typed back before I could stop myself. "Where are you?" For once, he didn't answer right away. The 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Then, close. I swallowed. My mouth was dry. "You're not as smart as you think," I wrote. "They found your apartment. They saw everything. It's over." "No," he wrote. "It's just getting interesting." Rodriguez leaned over my shoulder, reading. "Ask him something only he would know," he said softly. "Something specific. Keep him talking." I thought for a second, then typed, "What did you say to me the first time you called?" "You sounded calmer then," I added. "Like someone who still had a choice." His reply came fast. "I told you not to call them," he wrote. "You didn't listen. You never listen." "Why did you pick me?" I asked. There was a pause. "You smiled at me once," he wrote. "On the train. You didn't mean it. You were just being polite. But it was the first time in a long time anyone looked at me like that." My skin crawled. One smile, an automatic curve of my mouth in a crowded car, and he'd turned it into this: a connection we never had, a promise I never made. "You know that's not normal," I wrote. "You know that's not love." "Don't say that word," he wrote. "You don't get to use that word." "What word?" "Love." I stared at the text. If I'd been less terrified, I might have laughed at the absurdity of a man who killed 4 people but drew the line at semantics. "I'm not yours," I wrote. "We'll fix that soon," he replied. Rodriguez's phone buzzed. He stepped away to answer, his face tightening as he listened. When he came back, his expression was grim. "They found something else at his place," he said. downstairs, in the storage unit the apartment came with. You don't need to see it. That's not reassuring, I said. It confirms what we already knew about the other woman, he said. He's done this before, for longer than we thought. How did he get away with it? I asked. For so long? In a world full of cameras, how did nobody see him? People did, he said. They just didn't know it. That's the problem. You only start seeing the pattern when it's too late. My phone buzzed again. Tired of hiding, he wrote. My heart stuttered. What does that mean? I typed. No answer. The tension in the room ratcheted up. Hale was already on her radio, barking orders. Other officers moved, their voices low but urgent. What's happening? I asked. We're tracing this, she said. Every message, every call. If he's using a different device, he might have slipped. Again. My phone buzzed one more time. The message was a single image. It was my building, the front entrance, taken from a low angle, like the camera was at chest height. The doors were closed. A patrol car was visible at the curb. In the reflection on the glass, faint but there, I saw him, standing across the street, phone in hand, looking straight at his own camera, looking straight at me. My breath caught. He's at my building, I said. Right now. Rodriguez snapped into motion. Get me units there now, he barked into his radio. Tell them the suspect is on foot, across the street. Dark jacket, beard, approximately. Something crackled in his ear. His face shifted. What? I asked. He's already moving, he said. They saw someone matching his description cut down an alley. They're in pursuit. I gripped my phone so tightly my fingers ached. I didn't see the next part in real time. I saw it later, on a screen, replayed from body cam footage. Tyler ran. He moved fast through the alleys, cutting between buildings, ducking under fire escapes. He knew the back ways, the blind spots. The officers followed, their breaths harsh in their microphones, their shouted commands echoing off brick. At one point, he glanced back. The camera caught his face clearly for the first time. He looked annoyed, not scared, not wild, just irritated, like someone whose commute had been interrupted. "Police!" a voice shouted. "Stop now!" He didn't. He vaulted a low fence, stumbled, pushed up again. They were on him, closing the distance, their boots pounding. He reached another fence, taller this time, topped with rusted spikes. He started to climb. Someone yelled again, "Don't move!" He didn't listen. He was halfway up when he slipped. His foot lost purchase. His hand missed the bar. Gravity yanked him down. For a moment, his body hung there in free fall, the world tilting. He hit the ground on his back. Something snapped. The camera jerked as the officer approached, gun still drawn, breath ragged. "Hands where I can see them," he shouted. Tyler didn't move. They rushed him, rolled him, cuffed him anyway. He blinked up at them, dazed. His lips moved. The camera's mic barely caught it. "Where is she?" he asked. "Who?" the officer demanded. He smiled, dazed and oddly soft. "Mia," he said. When they told me he was in custody, my first feeling wasn't relief. It was emptiness. Like something that had been coiled tightly around my life had suddenly let go, leaving a hollow space. Is he? I started. Alive, Rodriguez said. Broken ankle. Maybe some ribs. But he's talking. We're taking him in. I nodded. Do you want to see him? Hale asked. The question hit me sideways. Do I have to? No, she said. It's your choice. Some survivors find it helpful to see that he's just a man, not some all-powerful shadow. Others don't. The idea of being in the same room with him made my skin crawl, but so did the idea of letting my last image of him be that blurry reflection in the glass, or the faceless presence in texts and emails. I'll see him, I heard myself say. They brought me to the station hours later, after the initial chaos had settled. He sat behind a thick pane of glass, hands cuffed in front of him, one ankle wrapped in a temporary splint. His beard was longer than I'd realized. His hair was messier. Without the distance, the anonymity, he looked smaller. He looked like a man who worked at a coffee shop, a man who rode trains, a man who lived in a crowded city and was invisible until he decided not to be. He watched me as I sat down on the other side of the glass. His eyes were dark and steady. There was no phone to pick up. This wasn't a movie. The audio came through a small speaker. You look tired, he said. I almost laughed. Of all the things he could have said, that felt the most normal. You killed 4 people, I said. My voice sounded calm. You tortured me for months. You broke into my home. You watched me sleep. And that's what you open with? He tilted his head. You always did care too much about the details, he said. You don't know what I care about, I said. I know enough, he said. I know you drink your coffee black, even though you don't like the taste. You don't eat breakfast most days. You pretend you don't care that nobody texts you, but you flinch when your phone doesn't buzz by noon. You think you're boring. You think you're forgettable. You think if you disappeared, nobody would notice for days. He said it like he was reciting a poem. You're wrong, I said. People noticed. Emma noticed. Mr. Farley noticed. The barista at the place you used to work probably noticed. The cops noticed. The driver noticed. The news noticed. I'm not yours. I'm not a puzzle you solved. I'm a person you decided to destroy to give your sad life some meaning. His jaw tightened. You smiled at me, he said. On the train. You looked right at me. I thought, maybe you saw me. Really saw me. Not like the others. Not like the people who rushed past. You saw me. I didn't see you, I said. I saw a stranger. I smiled because that's what people do when their eyes meet on a train and they feel awkward. It meant nothing. It was a reflex. You built a whole universe out of something I don't even remember. He blinked once. A small tick in the corner of his eye. They're going to lock you up, I said. You'll sit in a room like this for the rest of your life. You'll have all the time in the world to replay your little fantasies. But nobody out there will care. Nobody out there will know your name without a shiver of disgust. He shrugged. I don't care about them, he said. I care about you. You don't, I said. You care about how I made you feel. That's not the same thing. You're talking like you're better than me, he said. But you're here, aren't you? You could have walked away. You could have stayed in your cage. You wanted to see me. I wanted to see that you're just a man, I said. I wanted to see that all the power you had over me was because I didn't know your face, your name. I wanted to see how small you look in handcuffs. His gaze flicked down to his hands, then back up. I'll get out, he said. Someday. People like me always do. And when I do, I'll find you again. I leaned forward slightly. No, I said, you won't. Because by then I won't be alone. By then, I'll have people around me who know what you are. And you'll still be just a man with a limp and a file full of horror stories. You'll never again be a shadow slipping through my door. He stared at me for a long moment. Then softly he said, you should have stayed home. He smiled, a small broken curve of his lips. And for the first time since this started, I saw it. Fear. Not mine. His. He was afraid. Afraid of the walls closing in. Afraid of being seen fully. Not as a phantom, but as Tyler Grant. A man who worked at a coffee shop. A man who rode trains. A man who watched a woman and turned her into a mirror for his own emptiness. I stood up. I'm going now, I said. You don't get any more of my time. He watched me as I turned away. For weeks after, I still jumped at shadows. Every creak of my new apartment, because of course I moved, made me tense. Every unknown number on my phone made my throat tighten. Every man with a beard on a train made my pulse spike. I went back to work eventually. People tiptoed around me at first, their sympathy thinly veiled. Then, slowly, they stopped. The world moved on. New scandals, new tragedies, new headlines. Sometimes I think about Mr. Farley, about the driver, about the woman from 2A, about the girl before me whose name I learned in a file, whose face I saw on a wall in a room I wish didn't exist. Sometimes I think about Emma, and my chest aches in a way that never fully goes away. I still take the train. I still glance at the faces around me. Most days they blur, but sometimes my gaze catches on someone, a man with a certain posture, a jacket that looks familiar, and for a heartbeat, I'm back there, back in that car with my phone buzzing in my hand, the knowledge of eyes on me like a physical thing. Then the train stops. The doors open. People get off. People get on. The world keeps turning. He's behind bars now, waiting for trial. His lawyer will probably try to argue that he's sick, that he needs help, not punishment. The news will have discussions about mental health and obsession and the dangers of parasocial relationships. They'll talk about me sometimes too. Not by name, usually. I'll be the survivor, the one who lived. I don't feel like a survivor most days. I feel like someone who woke up one morning and discovered that the walls between her and the world were thinner than she thought. That anyone can step through if they want it enough, if they're willing to twist any smile into an invitation. But I'm still here. I lock my door every night. I check the windows. I keep my curtains closed when I undress. I still ride the train. I still smile at strangers sometimes. Not because they deserve it. Not because I owe them anything. but because I refused to let him steal that reflex from me too. Some nights when sleep won't come, I remember the first time I saw him. Standing by the door of the train, hand on the rail, eyes on something above my head. Just a man in a crowd. I remember the second time, and the third, and the moment when the word coincidence stopped being enough to explain the feeling in my gut. If you're waiting for some neat ending, some perfect moral, I don't have one. This isn't a story with a clean arc. He didn't appear, scare me a little, and then vanish. He didn't haunt me in some poetic way and leave me with a profound lesson. He watched me. He violated me. He killed people I knew. He carved himself into the shape of every fear I didn't know I had. And in the end, he tripped and fell over a fence. Sometimes monsters are just clumsy men who get caught. Sometimes survival is just continuing, locking the door, riding the train, smiling anyway, and knowing deep down that there are eyes out there you'll never meet that have already landed on you, already decided who you are in their story. You can't control that. All you can do is refuse to let their story swallow yours. So I tell mine, even if it sounds crazy. Even if people shift uncomfortably when I get to the part about the emails, the videos, the photo under the door. Even if someone, somewhere, hears it and thinks, that could never happen to me. Because that's what I used to think. Right up until the day my lock didn't click, my spare key moved, and a stranger on a train decided my life meant something it never did. I didn't notice him at first. I do now.